A year has passed since our heroes valiantly saved the world from Pepsi-Geddon. A year has passed since the audio engineer threatened Snek within an inch of his Sneky life for making a script that runs as long as a standard-length episode of a TV show. With the audio engineer appeased and Snek ready to roll again, let's join them anew in the hallowed halls of Snekburg City Hall. Let's look in as our hero enters a tightly packed elevator to meet his fate.
Whoa, wait a second, Mr. Narrator. Before you go any further, I am very pleased to announce that this episode has a sponsor. You heard it here, folks. Welcome to the channel's very first sponsorship plug. The one, the only, RaidCon Shadowscaped VPN. It's a mobile game that will definitely not bog your device down with pop-ups and ads that you can definitely easily block just by making it so your phone browser can't send you notifications. Not that you should do that, just thinking out loud here. Also, it's a VPN. What's a VPN, you ask? It's a very pricey non-entity, obviously. Tired of big business having easy access to your data? That sucks, but you already have 3 shadowy, unaccountable Big Brother organizations and a corrupt federal government anyway, so I legitimately don't get why you even care at this point. But by using this VPN, all your data is instead handed off to just one shadowy business, who can then sell it to their cabal mates at a later date instead, adding a minor inconvenient step to the process towards inevitability. And third, it's overpriced earbuds, repackaged and given a brand name that means literally nothing. But in this case, I don't need to sing the praises of any talentless celebrities to get the product's name out without threat of lawsuit. And last, but not least, it's a self-grooming kit, precisely the kind of product placement you definitely want to hear before a wholesome game review show, especially with uncomfortable and prolonged discussions of the no-no squares. Enough said, really. RaidCon Shadowscaped VPN is everything you want, and more. You should take it from me, someone you've never actually met before and whose knowledge of these things is kind of passing at best, because the halo effect is a real thing. Look it up. Thanks for the solid gold SUV full of Snek coins, RaidCon Shadowscape VPN. Here's to a long, fruitful relationship. Oh my god, I am never getting a real sponsorship after this, am I? Wait a sec, what? How did we get here?
The ad spot took too long and we had to get the plot going, with or without you. If you want to make Cog angry again, by all means, be my guest.
Forget it. Where are we? This looks like City Hall's elevator?
That is correct! We all ended up on the same elevator by complete coincidence!
Which I find a little suspect in its own rights. When the 3 of us are in close proximity, usually something idiotic and contrived happens which mandates Snek needing to review video games for some reason or other.
Yeah, but I think that only happens when something sufficiently plot significant triggers it, though.
Oh my! Something plot significant just happened!
Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
And for some contrived reason, the elevator's gone all the way to the roof access. Pretty sure that's not OSHA compliant. Let's see what's afoot.
None of us have feet.
Welcome, foolish heroes, to your bad doom.
Oh, good. I decided to add a sense of continuity between these specials and you pop in again.
Indeed. Whatever your game, Bad Doom, you've tipped your hand far too soon. There's 3 of us and 1 of you. We'll be taking you in for whatever this is. I'll just be honest, I don't know what you're doing, but I also know better than to even ask. We'll be taking you to the authorities now, so kindly come along quietly.
Not so fast, heroes. I have a hostage.
Honestly, Sneko, do I just need to install a GPS chip on you?
It's not my fault. He had ice cream. Also, I still don't have an established character motivation yet.
Fine. We're all here, and I know you want to monologue a little. So what's your stupid scheme this time, Bad Doom?
I got my no hands on a top-secret chemical formula from an alien race. Or maybe exposed radioactive waste. Or stolen from Area 51. Or a meteorite. Or a secret twin brother.
Yes, brother!
Wait, are you being serious right now, your beardness?
Yes, I am afraid so. Bad Doom, or should I say, Steve von Beardstein, is my twin brother!
Silence! I could not grow a luxurious beard like my dear brother, the Honorable Cecil Sebastian Orville Snekman von Beardstein. Just this gloriously villainous mustache. So I changed my name, rejected my past, and embraced my future. the eternal supervillain and archmost rival of the hipster Snek.
Fun fact, Taku's working on a formal novelization, and my archmost rival is actually...
I was rather under the impression that Snekina more held that title. She did nearly end the world, did she not?
Alright, I give up. Talking over. Violence equals very yes. Put your non-existent dukes up, Bad Doom. Let's do this like men.
Too late for you, fool. Unlike most villains who would sit around giving organ lessons in their downtime, I already used the serum before you arrived. On account I'm not a moron. And now I am the greatest of all Snek kind.
Yes, congratulations. Now you're a slightly bigger old man, and Sneko and Snekina are still taller than you.
What? No, they're not.
Oh goodness, this reminds me of the very first movie I ever got to see in theaters, Godzilla 1954.
Oh, that's right. Our father took us out to see it, and...
Wait, you guys are big Godzilla fans?
Oh sure, I love just about all the movies. The old ones, the new ones, just all of it.
Yes, me too.
Sneckworth, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I believe I am, Snek. We stall for time, and that growing effect has to wear off eventually, right? Do what you do best, my friend.
Say, Bad Doom, did you know there were lots of Godzilla video games starting as early as the 80s?
Oh, is that right? What kinds of games?
Well, I'm a little limited on what I can work with, given a lot of them are region-locked. And some of the older games weren't that amazing, but let me show you this baby. Let me introduce you to the first of a trilogy of games, 2002's Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, released on Xbox, original recipe, and the GameCube. And yes, there was a game by the same name on the GBA, but that's a very different game for a very different video. Anyway, the basic story involves an alien invasion, which in the Godzilla universe means that it's probably any given Tuesday, by beings known as the Vortok. Noticing the large supply of kaiju just sitting around and not currently terrorizing major metropolitan areas, they abduct the monsters and attempt to control their minds. This goes awry when one of the monsters, the one the player picks, obviously, breaks free from their control and attempts to topple the others, queuing up the main campaign mode. Kaiju options in this one include two versions of the Big G, his 90s and 2000s version, Rodan, King Ghidorah and his mecha form, Anguirus, Gigan and Megalon, one of the versions of Mechagodzilla, Destoroyah, and the then new arrival of Orga.
Wait! We're missing someone rather important, aren't we? Where's Mothra?
A fair question, but worry not. While she isn't playable, she isn't forgotten either. Serving as air support is a kind of power-up you can pick up along the way. Likewise, Hedorah the Smog Monster can show up and harass you as well. Also, the Xbox version, which launched a few months later, also included Mechagodzilla 3 as an additional character. And don't worry, we'll really get into the weeds with version exclusive as we go through these sets of games, believe me. Anyway, in the campaign you go head-to-head with a bunch of different monsters and stage obstacles. The army will constantly hound all monsters on the field as you smash through buildings, stomp around, and use your kaiju's every signature attack and ability to rock the enemy down.
Oh, come on. Who plays fighting games for their single-player campaigns? What kind of losers don't immediately join the multiplayer? Or, better yet, the online hyper-competitive environment?
I fundamentally disagree on literally everything you just said, but that having been said, this was a GameCube game, so online is already out of the question anyway.
Oh, thank goodness. Online multiplayer's the opiate of the masses.
But Destroy All Monsters Melee does have a sweet multiplayer mode, with 2 to 4 monsters each, and a race mode to ruin more of the city than their rival. It's super fun, and the game feel, which I admit can be difficult to put into words, is just satisfying. The monsters are a little sluggish in their movement, simulating the lumbering titans they rightfully are, but it's fast enough that combat feels fluid and always on the move. Landing a big kick or a bout of Godzilla's radioactive breath just feels good. It feels right. And when 4 monsters are on the screen at the same time, all bets are off. Oh, and there's a meter you can build up where you go into rage mode and really tear into your enemies. It's kinetic, the inputs are good, landing hits feels good, being king of the monsters is king. It's amazing.
Huh. That is pretty spiffy. Is that all there is to this game?
Oh, sort of, yes. By and large, yes. So let me touch on the graphics and sound next, okay?
Not to rain on your parade, but aren't those pretty consistent through all three games? I understand they were released on more or less the same consoles all the way through, with the Wii being the only odd man out, correct?
You hear that, Sneckworth? That's the sound of you letting the wind out of my sails. But fine. I'll touch on the graphics and sound just the one time, and we'll assume that everything is more or less the same rolling forward. Overall, presentation is solid. The monsters look good, the textures work, even if they're a little simple in some spots. I mean, this was several console generations ago, and the fact that 4 kaiju can go on a rompin' stompin' 4-way free-for-all in the middle of a pretty sizable map with zero slowdown noticed during my playtime hours, genuinely impressive stuff. And the audio is great. The original kaiju roars are firmly in place, and equally so are sound effects for each specific beam weapon and more. And the soundtrack is great, primarily rocking action-oriented numbers to emphasize the activity of the battlefield.
Yes, that's all well and good, and I am impressed. Video games have certainly come a long way in 30 years. But are we ready for me to terrorize this city yet?
Wait a second, we haven't touched on the sequel. 2004's Godzilla Save the Earth for PS2 and Xbox.
Did the sequel add a great deal of new content?
Well, I mean, Mothra's in the playable roster now, and they added lots of fan favorites, like Baragon, Megaguirus, Mogara, Space Godzilla as a final boss, and everyone's favorite not Ultraman, Jet Jaguar.
So, basically the answer is it's more of an expansion pack than a wholly original game?
It was one of the PS2 titles that took advantage of the PS2 multi-tap adapter and its limited online functionality.
The PS2 had a multi-tap.
But wait, there's more! This was a trilogy, culminating in 2007's Godzilla Unleashed on Wii and PS2. And things kind of go off the rails here, so bear with me as I attempt to break these down a little more in depth.
Oh, nice recovery.
Thank you. See, the Wii version has 26 kaiju, and the PS2 has 20. So you might think, oh, the Wii version is just the PS2 version, but with more stuff. And you're almost right, except one particular kaiju remains exclusive to the PS2 version. The overwhelming fan favorite of Batra. Who's Batra, I hear you ask? Well, he's the male counterpart of Mothra, who has a colossal number of on-screen appearances totaling 1. So at this point, you might find yourself saying something like...
Geez, Snek, it sure sounds like they really favored the Wii version over the PS2 version.
And I can't blame you for thinking that way. The Wii has downsides too. It's called unresponsive motion gimmick controls. Because there's nothing quite like making your game impossible to port forward because short-sighted cash incentives of a gimmick that managed to run its course during the console's launch year.
So what I'm hearing is, we're playing the PS2 version.
We're playing the PS2 version, yes. I mean, forgive me, but the 6 Wii exclusives are Goji 54, Varan, King Caesar, Mechagodzilla, Titanosaurus, newcomer original Crystalak, and Biolante. And apart from those last two, I don't really care all that powerfully over them. This game introduces some new interesting elements in a story that, while similar to the past 2 games, offers the player some number of choices. You see, a meteor shower rains across the Earth and strange crystals begin growing all over the planet, driving kaiju berserk and the human forces to take action, ultimately resulting in the 4 major factions found in the game. These are the Earth Defenders, which seek to destroy the crystals and protect Earth out of instinct like Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, the Global Defense Force, the likes of Jet Jaguar, Kiryu, and Mecha King Ghidorah, who serve directly under the military, aliens like Gigan, Orga, and Megalon, who serve the Vortok because those guys just don't know when to give up, and lastly are mutants, who mindlessly seek destruction for its own sake, like Destoroyah, Titanosaurus, and Space Godzilla. See, instead of the Rage Meter, there are crystals around each level. You can smash them and collect power-ups, ultimately resulting in a state called Critical Mass, which makes the monster a bit bigger and glows red. Kind of like how Godzilla looks in Godzilla vs. Destoroyah when he was at risk of melting down. However, this serves as a morality meter. See, to absorb the crystal is the way of mutant kaiju, so a good monster can ultimately turn evil.
Can an evil kaiju turn good?
Don't be ridiculous. Once a villain, always a villain.
I hate to agree with him, but actually he's right. It's generally assumed that you're going to play to alignment with whatever that monster happens to represent. Doesn't account for much outside of playing to type or going the Tyrant ending by getting all the power surges, resulting in a modified mutant ending, regardless of your monster, but a little extra dialogue. Mechanically, this one feels the best balanced and most tightly put together. The sole exception being the Wii version's Destoroyah, who has a bug that causes his horn katana attack to never use any energy at all, making it super spammable and a very cheesy way of winning fights and ruining friendships. That said, overall it's still the best of the bunch and with the biggest roster of kaiju and callbacks to its name. Super satisfying to play, and the frenetic party fight atmosphere reminds me a lot of Power Stone, which is always a good thing. Is it perfect? No. Are there things I would change? Yes, certainly. Like removing motion controls. From everything. Ever.
No, please, Snek. Don't be bashful and reserved. Tell us all how you really feel.
Look, the point I'm trying to make is that the game journos had a field day beating up on these games. In fact, it's pretty hard to find any major media coverage that gives kaiju the time of day. And that's a real shame. All I want in my monster movies is giant monster WWE. That's it. Maybe a person in a lab coat who does some technobabble about how the monsters came to be, and maybe have a small human interest story in there. But let's be perfectly frank here. All you need to do to make us happy is make more like this. More, but bigger. More, but better. More with more options. Literally just that. We fans of Toku are not particularly picky. If you make the entire experience what these games embody so perfect in their simplicity, which is fun. Pipeworks, if any of you ever see this video, I love these games. They're amazing games. If you make a sequel or a remake, I'd be all over that. Can you imagine how absolutely berserk people would go over a fully online functional party fighter Godzilla game just like these ones? You already have an amazing foundation here, and all we're asking for is more of that.
That's a fair point. I would play that and school your butt at it. Mwah.
Is that the end of the review? But he's not shrinking yet.
And also, I think some very important lessons can be imparted to the source material from these games. Like, maybe the Legendary Studios films can be less concerned about having a boring human to follow around for the entire film's duration. Sometimes it's fine to revel in some chaotic kaiju-driven mayhem, and need not spend an hour along the way talking about the human's uninteresting dysfunctional family dynamics. Because honestly, we just don't care about them. Get to the city-smashing bits already, and don't pull another fake out like you did in the first outing during that Hawaii scene. We remember that.
Yes. Wouldn't that be nice?
And for Toho proper, take it to heart to maybe stop trying to have a Goji measuring contest with Legendary. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to make some controversial statements here. Shin Godzilla, it sucked. It was a movie evolution, but dumber and not funny. The anime, it sucked. It was bad fanfiction written by an angsty teenager. Godzilla doesn't need to be big, he just needs to have a big presence, and there's a big difference in those ideas. You trying to make it darker and edgier is ultimately resulting in it being dumber, more dated, and much less compelling. Just stop going down that rabbit hole and make Godzilla blow up Gigan or something. We like that. It works, and it's why we're here today.
Actually, we're here today so I can crush you all and take over this city and...
Hey guys, told you I'd be back. Unfortunately, Snek only gave me one line. Can you believe it? Me, the most beloved character on the entire channel. Shame on you, Snek. Shame.
Ah, oui.
Ah, finally. Peace of mind. No supervillains, no space weapons. Sister's safe. I can finally just unwind for a little bit. What the devil?
Raycon VPN. Your pervy internet browsing is safe with us. We won't sell your info to anyone, unless they give us lots of money, or we're forced by the government. Warning, Raycon VPN cannot actually guarantee any safe browsing on the internet.